Hello and welcome to VS Code Day. Wait, I mean VS Code launch event. VS Code Day already happened. So quick update. If you missed it, it was recorded. Or if you made it, that's cool. Let us know in the chat by a show of hands if you made it to VS Code Day. Anybody out there? Hand emoji in the chat. Hand emoji. I see some friends here had made it. That's good. Hope you enjoyed it. If you missed it, it was recorded and it's up on the VS Code YouTube channel. So each individual session was recorded, so you can go and pick and choose which one you want to watch. Or if you'd like, you can just turn on the whole thing in the background and watch it from start to finish while you're working or something like that. So check it out. It's up on the VS Code YouTube channel. But anyway, welcome to the VS Code launch event for version 1.53. I'm your host, Brian Clark, and we have some fun in store for you. If you haven't been to one of these before, these are regular release launch events that we're going to continue to keep doing after each release, where you get a chance to hear directly from the VS Code team about the new features that are coming out in that release. Some other housekeeping things to keep you up to speed with. This will be recorded. It'll be up on the VS Code YouTube channel as well, so you can go back and watch some of the previous ones, or if you can't watch all of this, you got to go get something done with work, go right ahead. You can watch the recording later. This should last around 30 to 40 minutes with all the demos and some Q&As. Speaking of Q&A, if you have questions for the VS Code team, drop them in the chat, and our moderators will bubble them up to myself and the team, and we'll ask them on the live event. In addition to that, we also have a meetup group that'll help you stay updated on more community events and the release events. So if you head over to meetup.com, there's a global Visual Studio Code meetup group there. You search for that. I think maybe the moderators might have links in the chat that they can share with you as well. Cool. Everybody excited? Everybody pumped for the party? I didn't bring any, salsa or chips or anything like that, so I'm sorry, team. But maybe in the future, we'll figure that out. Without further ado, first up for our demo and presentation, we have Isidore, who's going to be showing us the new debugging features. Take it away.
Thanks a lot, Brian. So as Brian said, I'll be showing some of the debug improvements which we did this milestone. Hopefully you like them as much as I do. First thing which we improved is we tried to make it simpler to start multiple debug sessions from one configuration. Now it's possible that you just hit play button multiple times, and each time you press play, another debug session will appear. You'll notice it in the call stack view. Previously, there was a restriction on this. We didn't really allow this, and you had to create additional configurations in order to get into this state. So now this should hopefully be simpler, and each consequent session that gets created just gets a number at the end. So you can see them here, and you can just stop whatever session you want. I mean, this multi-session debugging, this is nothing new. We just made starting it a bit easier. So that's one small improvement. Another is we always had this breakpoint widget, as we call it internally, that you can basically use to add any condition to your breakpoint. And the breakpoint will only be respected when this condition is true. So for example, here I can add a condition, which is, let's say, I is larger than Fibonacci of 5. Here I have a simple Fibonacci function. And this is not new. What is new is that now we actually have some fancy coloring inside this breakpoint widget. This simply respects the language mode of the underlying editor. So if the editor is JavaScript, now you'll get some nice JavaScript coloring here. So now, I placed it on the wrong location.
Hey, Izzy, just a quick,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, interrupt me at any time. Yes, I can.
If you could zoom in a little bit so folks could see a bit better, it's kind of small.
Yeah, I already zoomed in a bit, but okay, I hope, hopefully now it's a bit better.
Yeah.
And yeah, now you can see that we broke this only when I was 9, which is larger than Fibonacci of 5, which is 8. So hopefully now the breakpoint widget coloring will make your life easier. Another thing which we did is we added this cute little inline action to edit the conditions of breakpoints. So now you can, instead of doing the context menu in the editor glyph widget, you can just click here and you will basically get the same experience as before. Maybe I now want to delete this condition. Maybe I'm no longer interested. And apart from that you can now do this for regular breakpoints, we now actually also allow to do this for function breakpoints and for exception breakpoints. However, since I'm debugging JavaScript, and for JavaScript we don't really support function breakpoints, I will show this for exception breakpoints. So what does this actually mean? Here, when I toggle this off, that means I want to break on each caught exception. However, sometimes you have lots of caught exceptions in your program and you don't really want to stop on all of them. You just want to stop on some of them. So now you can maybe add some smart conditions that you only stop on the ones you like. So now I'll try to do that. Now I will say, only, is it contains, I think contains, only stop on my error that contains the string Switzerland. Let's see if this works. I have to remove this breakpoint here. Didn't actually work. Contains Switzerland. The whole idea was that I should have broke only here and not on the first breakpoint. However, the demo gods are failing me, so I can try one more time. Maybe it's includes, or let's try index off. This is some live coding right here. Greater equals 0. Let's see if it works this time. Yes, okay, now it worked great. So as you can see, now this condition was applied, so we have basically skipped over the first caught exception and we only stopped on the second. As I said, this should be pretty useful when you're debugging some complex code, not a silly example as I have here, where you have hundreds of caught exceptions and you just want to stop on the ones which you find interesting. And those are some of the highlights which we did for debugging this milestone. Brian.
Nice, that's really interesting. And thank you again for zooming in. Maybe zoom in a little bit more and show setting that conditional again one more time, if you don't mind. So
yes, absolutely. Sorry about that. So let me, because I have a big screen here at home. This didn't really get zoomed. So you can get into this experience either from the glyph margin, which is right here. You can click on the edit breakpoint, or we have this cute little action, which is called edit condition, and we have a pencil. So you can also try that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so are you ready for some questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one for you from viewers. One of them asked that what languages does a debug feature work for?
That's a good question, first of all. So currently the conditions for caught and uncaught exceptions, as far as I know, are only supported by JSDebug, so only for JavaScript. But soon other languages will follow. I was just talking to the C# team. They're jumping on this, and other debuggers, I think, should soon follow. As for the coloring of the breakpoint widget, that should just work for all languages. Cool.
So yeah, it sounds like it's just a matter of the various, depending on the programming language that somebody might be using, the extension that correlates to that needs to just tap into this functionality within VS Code in order to support it. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's how we usually try to do it all around VS Code, and mostly in debugging, because JavaScript is done by my good friend Connor, who's part of the VS Code team. So whenever we do some change in debugging on the VS Code side, usually JavaScript jumps on it first as sort of like a poster child, and then we try to motivate the other extensions that they also jump on it. And some jump sooner, some jump a bit later, but most of the time it usually just takes 1 or 2 milestones. We have a great community.
Gotcha, yeah. I think Connor's been on here and demoed a few times at the launch event too, so shout out to Connor for that.
Yeah, exactly.
One more question for you. So for folks that maybe aren't familiar with using this functionality, these conditional breakpoints, what are some real world use cases that you can share with folks to help them get better use out of it?
Well, yeah, the real world use case is when something happens very often, you have a breakpoint and it gets hit, I don't know, hundreds and thousands of times, but you're looking for that one corner case that's really interested. You don't want to hit it 97 times, press continue 97 times, and only then care about it. You want to only break the program in this specific case. So I think it's pretty useful for like code that gets executed a lot of times. That's the real value, at least for me personally. That's how I use it. That's
yeah, that makes sense.
Values, but yeah,
that makes a lot of sense for sure. And yeah, I mean, in general, it just helps us get away from console logging. So not that console logging is necessarily a bad way to debug, but sometimes it's not the most efficient way. And so then adding in these conditional breakpoints makes it even more fine-tuned on getting exactly to where you want to go based on the behavior you're expecting.
Exactly.
One more question for you, and then we'll go to our next demo. Is it possible, and this comes from the audience as well, so thank you everybody that's asking questions for the VS Code team and dropping them in the chat. Is it possible to use these when you're debugging remotely?
Yes, this should just work. This should just work. We have a nice remote architecture, which makes it easier for us that things just work. I didn't really have to write any special code to make it work.
Sweet.
On the debugging side. So as for console logging, which you mentioned 1 minute ago, just shout out to log points. So users, you can also try log points, which is basically whenever they get hit, the program does not stop, they print out a message. So try those instead of console logs if you're using console logs.
Yes. How could I forget? That's an awesome feature. You don't have to change your code. You just let VS Code do the logging for you. That's
exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Izzy, for pointing that out. And thank you for the great demo.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, folks, next up, we have our next demo for you. This one's coming from Raymond, who's going to talk about some of the Emmet features in VS Code. Blame Brian. Jackson is going to be showing us some search editor functionality in VS Code. Next will be Raymond. Sorry, Raymond.
So I'm going to show a couple new features that we have in the search world. Just as an overview, I'm talking about the full file system search here. So if I search, for instance, model, and right now this is actually the repository that we use for the deep learning models that classify our GitHub issues. So I can search model, and you can see that there's a lot of results here. We do with a lot of models, but a lot of them are in files that aren't really as relevant to me, and it can be hard to sort of see like exactly what's going on in all these results. So something we've supported for a while is being able to create a search editor from these search results. I can click open an editor, and I'll see the same results, except I get syntax highlighting and lines of context around it, which is nice. And this is a search method that I always use instead of using the search view. But for a while, it's been hard to use this by default. What I've recommended is people just go into their key bindings and create a new key bindings for new search editor. So go in here and then manually add these. But that got kind of confusing sometimes, and it wasn't as easy, especially if you want to do something like find in folder. There wasn't really a good way to use search editors for that. So what you can do now is go into this new search mode setting, and where the default is view. So if I hit find in files, Command Shift F, it will just open here, or of course you can drag it down. Oh, I guess I might have lost it. But what we can do instead is now go to reuse editor. So what this will do is when I hit Command Shift F, I can screencast mode. It will open any existing search editor that I have. So if I want to create a new search, I can just hit Command Shift F and it will put a new search for that. Or what I can do instead is say new editor. And now anytime I run the search command, I will actually get a new search editor that has just that search. So now if I have a couple different searches I want to go through at the same time, I'll be able to have all these open concurrently. And another cool thing that we've been working on this iteration, or this past iteration, is searching in open editors. Experimental search in open editors. So this is enabled by default on insiders, but if you're on the stable channel, you'll just have to check this box. And then what this allows us to do is, so for instance, I have all these editors open, and let's say that I'm just actively working in these editors. So if I want to do a search for something like model, right now I get a bunch of results from like 16 different files that aren't really anything like what I'm interested in. So I could do something like maybe like go here and hit find in folder here, and then I get files to include there, but I also want to include these index files, so I can try and like craft an include filter here. But what I can do instead is just hit the filter by search in open editors filter here, and now I will only get results that are in the actual editors that I have open, which is pretty nice because a lot of the times these editors that you have open are like your sort of working set. They're what you're interested in. So if your search only shows that those files, that's nice. And this will work the same in the search view, but I think I might have lost the search view for right now. Oh, here we go. But yeah, so you can see if I go here, I can run the same exact thing and I'll get the same results. And if I have these open editors, a thing I can even do further is just say go and only include the Python files here. Or I can similarly exclude the Python files and I'll only get the TypeScript. Or I guess there weren't even any results in the TypeScript. But yeah, that's searching in open editors.
Brian, you're muted.
Right, I think I can hear you.
I am muted. Oh my goodness. I'm a professional, folks. This goes to show you that this is actually live. I was saying, Jackson, that this is nice. I was checking out the release notes and looked at this particular feature. I didn't realize that, so thank you for showing this. I didn't realize that you can focus on just the open editors. So that's, thank you for showing that. I learned something new. In addition to that, a question for you. Can you, in that same vein, right, in that same regard, can you focus the searches to be only on using source control, right? Only on the files that I changed, that I've made updates to. If I only wanted to search through those, how would I go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let's say I have some files that I've edited. Oh, okay. My auto formatting might make it hard to make meaningless edits, but I have some files I've edited. That's edited. And now my working directory is totally clean. So one thing that we can do is just use the git to open all changes. And then from here, we can use the search and open editors. And this is sort of like a model that we're trying out for allowing extensions to contribute like search sets. So an extension can pretty much just like create the working directory that it needs by just opening the editors. And some alternative approaches that we're considering are allowing extensions to integrate more deeply with the search widget. But for now, this seems to work for most cases that we've tried.
Wow, so I didn't, today I learned again, mind blown, you know, git open all changes. I didn't realize that that was a command that was available to me in VS Code, so holy moly. So that's great. Yeah, that's a nice, quick and easy workflow to search through just the open edit, or just the things that changed by opening up those editors and then only searching those editors. Thank you for that. Another question from viewers, it is, basically you're demonstrating how we can move the search view to be in an editor, or it can be in the sidebar, or even at the bottom that bottom panel that pops up. Is there a possibility, can it be a pop-up like open file commands are? I think basically through like the command prompt kind of thing.
There's no way currently for search results to show up in one of these quick selects. That could be interesting, but it's not something that we've implemented yet.
Okay, no worries. Well, that's yeah, that could be interesting, I think too. Lots of different ways to approach solving these things that we're looking to do, taking these actions within VS Code. All right. So with that, thank you again, Jackson, for that wonderful demo and the mind-blowing functionality that I was not aware of. Next up, we actually have now Raymond, who's going to be showing us Emmet. Take it away, Raymond.
Awesome. Yep. I'll just share my screen. So firstly, I'm going to go over what Emmet is because I'm sure that not everybody uses it. So what it does is it helps you write HTML and CSS faster. So for example, I can do something like this and then just press tab and then I get this entire abbreviation expanded into this list. So for this demo, I'll be showing what I changed in the latest iteration. But first, I'll show something that I actually did in October, which was bring back custom snippets. So custom snippets were broken for around 2 months between August and October. So I'll just show that they're back now. First, what I have to do is bring up the snippets file. Actually, I'll just show my snippets file right now. Looks like this. So over here, I have the HTML snippets, and over here, I have the CSS snippets. And I also have to add a setting to get to this snippet file. So the way I would do that is go into settings, and then search for the Emmet preferences. And then it says added in settings.json. And then over here, there's a setting that you add called emmet.extensionsPath. And then this goes to the folder that contains the snippets.json file. So I'll go back to the snippets.json file. And then I'll just add another HTML snippet. And I'll just call this one Hello World. And let's see, what was it again? Add a comma. That should be good. So I save it. Then go to test doc. Now if I do hello world, it should expand. Yep, just like that. And you notice here that the custom attribute here expanded. That is also a newer feature that I added to this iteration, so that's good. So yeah, that's the custom snippets. And now something else that I wanted to show was the performance improvements. So when it comes to performance improvements, I'll just pull out a larger file that I have. So you notice that this is a slightly larger file than the last one. I'll just do the same here. Yep. So over here, I'll just show an example expansion. And the way I'll do it is going to be a bit different. So I'm going to enable trigger expansion on tab first. So this way, even without the auto suggest, it would still show, it would still expand it when I press tab. So for example, I can do ul that, and then I'll press escape to turn off the suggestions. And then if I press tab, it should expand. But you'll notice that there was a bit of a delay there. And something else that I've done is I mapped some keyboard shortcuts. So if I do, so if I search up Emmet in the keyboard shortcuts, you'll see that I mapped a few. So I'll just demo them. So there's balance outwards, which iteratively selects more and more of the document, but you'll notice that it's super slow, and there's also a select next item. But then in the latest table, now it looks like this. Now I can select the previous item like that, select the next one like that. Now I can balance out, balance in. So it's a lot faster. And I could do something similar here with the expansions. I'm not sure if 1000 is good, 100. Yeah, just like that. And then it expands instantly, so it's pretty nice performance improvement. Also, a feature heavily requested by Emmet users was supporting a countdown. So previously, countdown would, can't spell it seems, countdown will look like this. And as you can see, it's broken. It's supposed to count downwards from 100, not have the spam after it. If we do it here, you notice that it actually counts down properly now. Heavily requested feature, it's finally unstable, so that's good. Let's see if I missed anything. Well, that's all I have to show, but yeah, that's Emmet.
Nice. I loved how you demonstrated the previous operations and how it kind of lagged a little bit, and then to demonstrate how fast it is, and it's wicked fast. So well done on that. Congrats to you and the team on those performance tuning enhancements with all that. That's cool. Some questions for you from the viewers, if you will, Raymond. So one thing that some folks might have missed that you went through a little bit quickly is, how did you open up that snippets file? Like what is the way to get to that so that people can?
Oh, true. Yeah. So if you don't have one already, then VS Code doesn't really come with one. There's instructions on the docs for how to set one up. Like there's a template that you could just copy paste. But yeah, you need a snippets.json file somewhere. I don't think it has to be in your current open folder or workspace, for example, but it has to be somewhere. And then it will contain these snippets like this, something like this. And then you have to link to the snippets file in the settings file. And I go to settings with control comma, and then I search Emmet preferences. And then I click on that, settings.json. And then Emmet.extensions path, I add the path to the snippets here.
Okay, cool. Thank you for stepping through that. I think that'd be helpful for folks. Just also another question, right? Because some people, this might be their first time seeing Emmet, but they're used to seeing or have seen text expansion before, or code snippets. What would you say is, or if you will, how would you describe the difference between what Emmet does and maybe like text expansion, or is there more overlap to it than what I might be thinking?
Text expansion as in like,
yeah, like how you had
it's built into VS Code, right? Because Emmet itself is a built-in extension meant for web languages. And then the way it works is that one types in abbreviations, and there's various abbreviations to choose from. Like, you notice here that I need a better example. Okay, well, this is a bit unfortunate because every abbreviation I'm typing out right now is an Emmet abbreviation, but that's not always the case. I think
pick a random letter. Maybe a random letter will work.
Actually, I think with CSS it's easier because there's all this showing up, and none of them are Emmet abbreviations, but they're still snippets, I believe. But I believe over here, if I go like that, yeah. So the one that I have highlighted right now isn't an Emmet abbreviation, but this one is. And if I press tab, then it completes to that with the hover, so that one can fill in the color. And then get out of there. Yep.
Gotcha.
So I guess for CSS, it's more apparent which ones are Emmet abbreviations, which ones aren't.
Okay. So you also mentioned that countdown feature that was highly requested by Emmet users. So for folks that maybe are new to that, what is kind of a use case for that countdown functionality within Emmet?
Well, the way the countdown works, I'll just show it on here, is it's good for lists, and I don't use it myself much, so I have to remember every time. I believe it's like this. Yeah. It's just usually used for labeling, although I should try something. I'm gonna try this live, so I'm not sure if this is gonna work or not, but I'm gonna try expanding some actual plain text in here.
Okay.
Not sure if it's supposed to look like this or not. Would that work? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing right now. Okay.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, the usual use case that I'm used to is just seeing something like this, where the classes just start counting down backwards like that.
And then they just might rename them to something else.
Well, I'm assuming that you can apply some kind of styling like to these.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. And I like that when you were, branching out a little bit there, the cool thing is for folks that are learning Emmet and like all the keywords to that, the little notification lets you know like, hey, that's not an actual Emmet abbreviation to use and it's not going to work. So that's nice feedback to see too as well for folks that are learning about it. All right, a couple more questions for you. Folks are really interested. So does Emmet work with React using JSX and TSX? Is it possible to use within that scope?
See, what's interesting is that those are web languages that people are using a lot. And you could use some Emmet features there. There are some other ones that don't work as well. So if you go on VS Code issues and then you search it up, you'll notice that there's a lot under JSX XTSX. Also, it has to do with the fact that we don't really have the best, Emmet doesn't have the best parser right now for those languages. So that's why some of the features might not work so well. I don't have any files here to demonstrate that right now, but yeah. It's definitely being used for those files.
Okay. All right, and last but not least question for you is, so you showed us the previous behavior with Emmet in the previous version and then the new one. So what is new about the latest Emmet that changed? Like if you could, at very high level, kind of tap into that what it took to get that performance improvement. I think that might be interesting.
Okay, yeah, so the performance improvement. So basically, previously, we were representing each document as just like a 2D document. So over here, it says how this says line and column.
Yeah.
We were just representing the whole document like that. And then for some operations, especially like the balancing ones, we had to parse the file. But then when we passed in like this document just as is, during the parse, there would be a lot of logic to conclude like when to go to the next line, for example. And then it would also create a lot of new objects because we were representing like the current position by essentially a class with two fields, like line and column. What happened right now is that we flattened the entire document into basically a single line. And then that way it just becomes like a regular string. So that's a lot faster than what we were doing previously. And then when it comes to the countdown, essentially what happened is finally the upstream code VS Code Emmet helper got refactored to use the latest Emmet dependency from emmet.io/Emmet. Mm-hmm. And that's why countdown is supported now, along with a few other features. Yep.
Well, thank you for indulging me with that. And then just one quick comment from Richard that's watching. So shout out to Richard. Richard said, my jaw just fell off with all that. So more props to you and the team with all the awesome functionality that you all are adding in this amazing tool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Raymond. And folks, if you don't have any more questions for us, let me double check really quick. I think we're good. We're good on the questions. So that said, thank you all for tuning in, but don't go anywhere just yet. Some more housekeeping things to remind you of. If you missed this, you missed part of the demos today, be sure to check out the VS Code YouTube channel, or in addition to that, check out the Twitter account at Code, twitter.com/code. That's it. They got the Code account. It's awesome. You can follow along there to find out more information about future events and things that are going on with VS Code and cool things that people in the community are doing. That account will share there, so you can check out and find new tips and tricks as well through that. So again, YouTube channel, search for VS Code. You'll find out the recording here or there of this session for the launch party, version 1.53. What else do I have for you? I think that's about it, right? Next time, a reminder to myself, next time I need to bring chips and salsa. I mean, it is a party after all, right? Right, Sana? Yes. Well, thank you all so much. Hope you enjoyed it today and learned something new. I know I certainly did. We'll see you next time. Happy coding.